Okay, so tonight, last night we read The Flying Prince. We got Elsa for the bedtime story too tonight, huh? Okay. So we were on page 288, and now we are on page 298 for Thumbelina. Ooh.
Now I like you.
298. All right, here we are. I found Thumbelina.
Mom, do you like that one better too?
Yeah. Once there was a woman who lived alone in a tiny, tiny cottage. Though she was relatively happy, she longed for a child. One day, as she worked in her yard, an old peddler woman came to her gate. "I have something that can help you," the peddler told her kindly. "Take these seeds and plant them in your garden," the woman continued. "In no time you will find your heart's desire." The woman thanked the peddler and planted the seeds. As soon as she watered them, a tulip sprouted up and instantly opened. Sitting in the flower was a beautiful little child. The woman decided to call the child Thumbelina, and she loved and cared for the girl as her very own child.
What do I like now? Do you like that better?
One day, while Thumbelina played in the garden, her sweet singing attracted an ugly toad who happened to be hopping by. "I would like to make her my wife," he thought to himself. So he took Thumbelina and brought her to his lily pad. Thumbelina was trapped, and she began sobbing. Her tears brought curious fish to the surface. They took pity on the poor girl, nibbled through the lily pad stem, and helped her to float safely ashore. Thumbelina thanked the fish for their help and set off, walking as far as her legs could carry her. But she did not know where to find her mother's garden. As night fell, she wove a tiny hammock from blades of grass and slept. The next day, Thumbelina resumed her search for her mother. Thumbelina's search went on through the fall, and soon winter brought a bitter cold chill to the air. It was then that little Thumbelina spotted a small door in the trunk of a tree. The door opened a crack, and a little... Honey, you're making my story blurry. A little field mouse peered out. When the mouse saw the lovely girl on her doorstep, she invited her in to warm herself by the fire. The mouse and Thumbelina became fast friends, and Thumbelina, accepting the mouse's invitation to stay the winter, helped to gather food and supplies. One day, a strange sound brought the field mouse and Thumbelina to the window. There they saw a sparrow with an injured wing. He had been traveling south for the winter, but now he could no longer fly. The sparrow knew that he could not survive the cold winter outside. The hospitable field mouse welcomed the sparrow into her home.
But Mama's dead.
Thumbelina helped him into the burrow and tried to make him as comfortable as possible.
See my boot when my boot on Tom.
Oh, I'm ripping pages here.
Okay, can I please?
You're blocking the light.
I'm blocking.
You are. You're blocking the light. The sparrow was surprised to see such a tiny person living with the field mouse. "Are you a fairy princess?" he asked. "What is a fairy?" she asked. "Someday, when my wing is better, I will show you," answered the sparrow. Thinking back to her mother's garden,
Hey,
Look,
that fairy wing is gone.
Okay. Thinking back to her mother's garden, Thumbelina asked if he was one of the birds that had taught her to sing. "That was not me," said the sparrow, "but it could have been one of my brothers or sisters." Thumbelina and the sparrow would sing for their friend every day. When spring finally arrived, the sparrow's wing had healed. He offered to carry Thumbelina to her mother's cottage. They both said their goodbyes to the field mouse and went on their way. Is Cinderella in the mix now? Some Cinderella action? I have a surprise for you, Thumbelina, said the sparrow as he landed on a flower.
Remember, I told you drop it to lemon.
Okay.
To dripping down.
I have brought you to the land where the fairies live. Just then, a lovely white flower opened to reveal a perfect little boy the same size as Thumbelina. He had a pair of wings and he wore a tiny crown. He was the Prince of the Fairies. The prince asked Thumbelina to be his bride. He placed a golden crown on her head. Then two smaller fairies fastened a pair of delicate wings onto her back. I will marry you, Prince. I can't sing. She answered happily, but you and the fairies must come to live with me in my mother's garden. I will never be happy anywhere else. The prince agreed, and when they arrived, the woman was overjoyed to see her dear daughter again. She was especially tickled to have the fairies live with her. Every summer, the sparrow would visit Thumbelina's garden, where she and her friends lived happily ever after.
After.
Let's see the next one. The Little Mermaid is tomorrow.
But we already read that.
Well, we could read it again. I don't think we recorded it when we read it.
I don't know. Like ear, my dad.
All right, I love you.
Me too.
Good night.
Good night.
Let's get these dolls cleaned up.
Okay, run me from on your tail.
Oh, that's always great. Good night.